evening. Our top story this week. In South Carolina, a couple is suing the child protective industry over their adopted kid's sex assignment surgery that he had to make him female when he was only 6 months old. In California, the Los Angeles child protective industry cuts off ties with a private foster care agency for financial malfeasance and abuse. A TV news station says that it's going to conduct an investigation into corruption and lies at Orange County, California's child protective industry. And the Orange County supervisor is asking why so many foster kids are running away from their group homes. In Maine, after another girl goes missing, police admit that they still haven't found 7 kids who have gone missing since 1971. The number of U.S. children who were exposed to violence, crime, and abuse in 2011 was essentially unchanged from 2008, according to a new government survey. Another study finds that foster kids are the most vulnerable to school failure and dropping out, and according to the U.S. Center for Disease Control, as many as 1 in every 5 kids has a mental disorder in any given year. In North Dakota, the tribes are seeking more authority in Native American child removal and placement decisions. In South Dakota, CPS officials skip out on the Indian Child Welfare Summit since they probably have no intention of respecting the wishes of Native Americans in regards to the Indian Child Welfare Act anyway. In Tennessee, 42 records are released demonstrating how CPS botched their investigations, kept shoddy paperwork, and failed the children. And in Texas, the state Senate is backing a bill that would require foster parents to take greater caution before giving psychotropic drugs to their foster kids. President Obama signs the North Korean Child Welfare Act aimed at helping desolate orphans who manage to escape from North Korea by helping them to reconnect with family or get adopted. The government of Georgia is debating putting a stop to the practice of private deal adoptions from one set of parents to the other. In India, jurists want the country to sign on to the Hague Convention on International Child Abduction that they have been resisting since 1980. In Kenya, the government is investigating 6 orphanages for claims of child prostitution. And in Portugal, gay couples win the right to adopt the children or foster children of their partners. In Australia, a foster parent gets 2 years in jail for mind-boggling cruelty to a foster child over a 5-year period. The Northern Territory's chief minister is afraid that at the rate they're going with the adoption of Aboriginal children, they could spark a new stolen generation. Australian children as young as 6 months old are now being diagnosed with depression, and hundreds of children in state care are being harmed each year, and 1 in 5 of them are still being kept at the place of their abuse. In England this week, they're blaming a shortage of foster homes for the fact that half of the country's foster kids are now separated from their siblings, and for them being moved too often. And now they're appealing to white people to become foster parents so that they can keep white kids with members of their own race. England's Education Secretary notifies the public that they have appointed their very first chief social worker of the baby stealers. Researchers from the University of Leeds finds that children often don't want to be friends with the fat kid. A British foster kid is freaking out after her foster mother gets hit by a bus. And a recent article in The Guardian describes family law as a time-consuming and morally shadowy activity and suggests that family lawyers sleep in a bed that has been paid for by the unhappiness of others. In entertainment news this week, Michael Jackson is being accused of sexual abuse again by a choreographer named Wade Robson and 2 others who haven't come public yet. And Charlie Sheen's ex-wife Brooke Mueller is being accused of only wanting her kids for the $55,000 a month in child support, which turns out to be her only source of income and the source of her drug money. In California, a foster mother is ordered to stand trial for the beating death of a 5-month-old girl. In Florida, a CPS agent is arrested for not visiting children for scheduled appointments and falsifying the records to cover it up. In Michigan, a couple of foster parents are charged with whipping a boy for scuffing his shoes. And in New Jersey, an 11-month-old girl drowns in the bathtub of her foster home, and instead of preparing to bring her home, her real mom is now making funeral arrangements. In Texas, a foster father is accused of shaking a 2-year-old girl because she would not sleep, and he's refusing to comment on the situation. In Maine, a former CPS agent named Sally Ann Schofield, who killed a foster kid named Logan Marr, is trying to get her probation conditions changed before she even gets out of jail after being sentenced to only 17 years for duct taping the little girl to a high chair with 42 feet of duct tape, causing the girl to suffocate to death. And now she's worried about incidental violation of the no contact with children provision of her probation by going to church or to the grocery store after becoming eligible for home confinement after 11 years of a 17-year sentence and being due to be released later this year. In North Carolina, a foster parent is facing 8 child sex charges. In Pennsylvania, a caseworker gets busted for trying to swap welfare benefits for sex with clients. And 2 more Pennsylvania CPS agents are busted for failing to report a case of sexual abuse to law enforcement. In Florida, a former former prostitute and mother is raising money for a documentary on how prostitutes are having their kids taken away. In Idaho, a medical marijuana advocate gets her kids back after CPS snatched them, but now she's living with constant panic attacks because of the ordeal. And in Illinois, a couple is suing an adoption agency over a botched adoption after having to give up the kid 10 months later because the agency didn't properly notify the real father. In Tennessee, a grandmother is speaking out after not being listened to when she tried to warn Child Protective Services about her newborn grandson before he died. In Texas, a mother loses her kids to a foster home where they are being severely neglected because CPS doesn't believe that she can keep them safe from her estranged husband. In Washington, two sisters who are separated by foster care and adoption hook up for the first time in 17 years. And finally, tonight in New Jersey, an appeals court rules that a mother did not neglect her kids for her decision to stop taking her psychiatric meds, but was instead trying to prevent harm to the child she was pregnant with. For these stories and all the latest dirt on the child protective industry, visit www.legallykidnapped.com. And until next week, this is Baby LK, over and out.